All right, we are now joined in the media center by Justin Thomas here at the Valspar Championship. You're making your 7th appearance here this week. Just some opening remarks on being back.
I like this place a lot. I think it's a great, very underrated golf course we play. I think it forces a lot of us to play from the kind of some similar areas on more holes than we might find at other golf courses. And yeah, I just think it's a good kind of testament to you don't necessarily need length for a place to be difficult. You have to drive it well out here. The greens are small and hitting to them, and you need to have control of your ball. If it can get windy out here, and in the trees, it can just kind of bounce around. So you need to kind of place your way around, and if you're playing well, you can make some birdies. But bogey lurks kind of at every swing, so it's a good week to stay patient.
Yeah, and so far this season, in 6 starts, you have 4 top 12 finishes. How do you feel about your game coming into this week?
Yeah, my game, it's continuing, I feel like, to go in the right direction. I mean, obviously, miscut last week was far from what I was looking for, but I not really looking too much into it. It was just, I feel like, one of those weeks where I just, had a couple putts here and there, just really 1 or 2 bad swings each day that took away from, I feel like, a majority of really good golf throughout the entire round. But it's also just kind of a funky place. You can get some weird bounces and breaks and lies and whatnot, and it just was one of those years. And I had a weekend of no golf because of it.
Yeah. All right, with that, we'll open up to the group for questions. Please raise your hand, and we'll get a microphone over to you. Doug in the front.
A little bit different schedule this year with the calendar and Augusta being pushed basically out an extra week. Did that make things at all tricky for you to figure out exactly what you want to play and the amount you want to play heading into Augusta?
Not too much. I think I would have. I debated. I went back and forth on if I wanted to take 2 weeks off before. I definitely didn't want to do 3, and then this worked out great because this is clearly a place that I enjoy and like coming to, and so when it worked out in the schedule, it was easy to add. But it wasn't terribly tough. It was more of kind of figuring out what I wanted to do if I was okay with 2 weeks off, and then obviously Bay Hill players or events I'm going to play, and then I've never played Houston, and I like this place, so. It was more of a decision, I feel like, based off of that than anything.
Jeff?
I know your putting numbers aren't where you would like to see them, but are you seeing gains there that kind of aren't showing up yet?
For sure. I think this early in the year they can be pretty skewed, I would say, and also, my first 2 events of the season were events where shot length isn't even there, just due to the different golf courses. So. I had my first in Palm Springs and Torrey. I didn't putt great on Sunday or Saturday, whatever it was. But, so I have 5 pretty good rounds that were completely taken out of stats. I think the majority of the time stats can be helpful, but I'm starting to realize that they can just be a little skewed here and there, especially this early in the season. So. But of course, at the end of the day, I would love to and know that I need to make more putts. But I'm feel like I'm seeing things go in the right way, and just want that hole to start looking like a bucket. One of these days.
Yeah, looking ahead to Augusta, what's the biggest focus priority in your game? What are you trying to clean up and pay the most attention to?
Well, I'll probably assess that after this week. I really think I've obviously more so at Bay Hill than last week, but I've been playing really well. At Bay Hill I played some really, really, really good golf. I really had a bad last 5 holes at Bay Hill from a top 3 or 4 finish, and that being said, you got to play all 72 of them, so that doesn't just automatically mean anything different. But I'm not. I can't imagine I'll do anything crazy or feel like I'll need to revamp or totally start over from anything. It's really just going to be sharpening up. I mean, you hit a lot of short irons, not quite as many wedges, so a lot of 8 and 9 irons, and then really just some of those 4 or 5 irons, 5 woods for either the par 5s or you have 4. But to me, it's always been about short game at Augusta. So it's really going to be a lot of chipping work, a lot of putting work, of lag putting, and just trying to feel like no matter how good or bad I'm hitting it, I can get it around there. 1 or 2 at the max, bogeys or less every day I'm playing. I feel like is when I'm going to succeed the most there.
Doug in the front.
If you Tiger's not going to be included at all in this conversation. Who's the most dominant player you've seen in your 10 years on tour?
Is dominant like my own definition, or
Yep,
what do you?
Because I sure don't have one.
Okay. I mean, Scotty's obviously the first person that comes to mind, but when I think of dominant, I think of, it's got to be Scotty because I think
fresh.
it's also, he has, I would think, probably the most wins in the last couple of years. Maybe. It's close, but I think of dominant, and I think of people winning 4, 5, 6 times in a season, or going on a stretch. I remember in kind of through 17 and 18, like I think I'd won like 7 events and 30 starts or something like that. Like those kind of stretches, and I wouldn't, in terms of consistency and who's played the best, nobody holds a candle to Scotty in the last couple of years. But to me, dominance is winning, and winning a lot and often. And I guess when nobody has had Tiger-like, obviously, kind of things, then it's whoever's done it the most. So I'd say probably Scotty.
So as you were thinking about that question, how many names were going through your head?
3, 4, maybe. You're going to want me to say them?
Kind of do, yeah.
Yeah. I thought of myself for a couple years. Won 8, 10 times in 2 or 3 years. Rory, Jordan, kind of there for a little bit. DJ. That's
Rahm a couple years ago.
Yeah, Rahm a couple years ago.
Did you think of Jason Day at all?
I didn't. Just that was my rookie year. Was when
he was.
Yeah, and I watched that probably more than I played with it. If that than I actually witnessed it live, which makes a little bit of a difference to me.
All of which leads me to, and I don't know how many names we just hit, probably a half dozen, and all still very capable. Is golf better off with a dominant? I was going to leave Tiger out again, but with a dominant player, or is it better with this group that's probably grown by the year?
It's a really good question. I've thought about it before too, and it's probably not fair to say, but I think it legitimately depends who it is. I know that's harsh, but it's like, yeah. No, I didn't say that. You did. But anybody's going to watch. Again, you shouldn't compare or use Tiger, but anybody's going to watch Rory or a lot of someone like him or Jordan, whatever, like win by 7 or 8, just because you still don't know the fun and Jordan might be leading by 6, but he's still going to have that hilarious conversation with Greller in the trees on 16 of how he feels like he can slice this 3-wood onto the green when it's not really going to gain him anything, and maybe he pulls it off and maybe he doesn't or chips it. There's the excitement factor versus others, and I think it's better for the game. I know it's motivating for me when it's like this, because I feel like there's a lot of guys that I'm jealous of, to be honest, of how well they're playing and all the things they do well in their game, to where that pushes me to want to kind of do the same. So I guess it just kind of depends on who you ask.
Go right here, and then Jeff.
Justin, you just came off the course. What did you think about it today? Did anything surprise you, something maybe you don't remember about playing here? And then how does this course help you specifically in your game?
I think this is a ball striker's course. You have to be in good control of your golf ball, and I feel like that's something that's helped me in the past, but it's just a strength of my game, so that's why I like it. But in terms of the course, I don't remember seeing the rough this long in past, maybe ever. It is very, very thick. It's tough around the greens to chip. So that's something that's different for sure. But it's softer than normal, or I'm sure that everybody would like. So those two might even out a little bit. But generally, if you give us a softer golf course, we're gonna play it significantly better than a firmer golf course. So that takes a little bit of the fire away from it in terms of getting crazy difficult, but it's still small fairways and small greens and long rough, and you just have to play well. It's a really, really hard place if you're scraping it around, to go shoot 3 or 4 under like some other spots.
Jeff, and then Doug.
You used the word underrated about this golf course, and a lot of players do. What's kind of your short list of underrated tracks out here that might not be the marquee names we think about?
I mean, I don't think you could throw Harbor Town in that same category, but it's very similar, where it's kind of position golf and forces people to hit from a lot of the same areas, and I just think that's why you see scoring so consistent at places like this. You don't have holes like 6 at Bay Hill where guys, if you get the right wind, you all of a sudden can take it 100 yards further down the hole or whatever it might be. So I'm not sure. It's really hard. I'm trying to somehow go through the entire season and sitting here, but I just like those old school courses. I like Southwind, I like East Lake, the Olympia Fields that we'll play sometimes for BMW. It's such good golf courses, and they're just right in front of you. There's nothing tricked up or stupid or anything about them. They're just right there, and you just have to play them well.
And what do you know about Taylor Moore and his finish here last year?
I played with him here last year. I can't remember if it was a couple days or whatnot, but I remember. I don't know if he still works with them, or I'm pretty sure he worked with Josh Gregory, maybe, or still does. I don't know, but I told Josh, I was like, dude, he was good. I was extremely impressed. I hadn't played with him, but some guys just their ball makes a little different sound when they hit it, and the flight and control, and he was definitely one of those guys. And it kind of reminded me a little of Sam Burns of putting, where it was kind of efficient and quick, and just would get up there, and once he kind of figured out what he wanted to do, and he looked very confident in what he was doing, and just so happened to win. So made me feel good about how I felt.
Doug?
Do you have anything else? I have 3 things, if that's all right.
Wow.
It's a lot. But one of them, and I must say I didn't see you every day both days at Players on number 12, but you seem to be one of the few guys at 10 at Riv who are comfortable laying up and rely on a very exquisite wedge game. When you see more and more drivable 4s, how much? I know it depends on the hole, but how much do you basically lean on a strength compared with the temptation of whacking
one? I feel like more and more of the drivable holes, properly drivable, are so short to where it makes it's hard for people to grasp laying up, myself included. You see Riv, it's 280 something yards. It's just it's hard. It's hard for people to understand or really, when they see me laying up. I've hit 7-iron off that tee before, and I've hit 4-iron or hybrid or 5-wood, whatever. But it's not as much as I probably should, to be honest. You have I'm thinking of a hole we used to play in the playoffs somewhere up in, I think in New York, where it's like the green sat way up and tiny green. And like nobody laid up for, it's like everybody hit driver and like it was super narrow and it's
16 at Liberty, I think, wasn't it? Or 15 at Liberty?
not at Liberty. That is a great hole. It's I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, so I don't probably as much as I should. It's more of like it's really hard to make 2 if I lay it up versus I could hit driver 3-wood, on the green and make the putt.
Put one in the bunker on 10, didn't you, off the tee this year?
That was last year.
Oh.
Yeah, fatted a 4-iron. Thanks for bringing that up.
Good shot. Part 2, a couple weeks ago you're playing in a 69-man field. Now you're at 155. What's that like?
The practice facility and the range is a lot busier this week, that's for sure. Practice rounds are quite a bit different. Yeah, I mean,
you're not gonna finish.
Yeah,
one of these
yeah.
days.
I mean,
Couldn't do
at
it
some
last week, I
point,
don't
it's traffic's busier in L.A. than it is in Tarpon Springs. Like, there's just more people, so it's like that. That's just kind of the way that it goes. And I think that's something we've talked about slow play. Guys that'll complain about it or say we need to play faster. It's like, well, at some point you can only go so fast, right? You can't.
Too many cars on the
It's
freeway.
not like every person's hitting the fairway, hitting the green, or if they miss the putt, it's to where they can tap it in. It's like over the course of 155 people, 156 people, like you're going to have every third group, every fifth group, whatever it is, to where someone's playing bad. You have to get some ruling. Like it's going to take longer.
But it seems like, and we've gone to smaller fields on some of the elite, which we know, and it almost seems like they're having to like overstack, because this is normally 144, just to look out for the boys who aren't getting starts. Is there a happy balance?
Yeah, I was talking to
Now
someone.
that you're on the pack?
What's that? Yeah, I was talking to somebody about that yesterday. I don't know what the answer is. It's there's definitely has to be some kind of changes, because it's. I mean, I remember when I came out, there definitely is, the Corn Ferry category. There's a handful of guys that would get in those beginning events, and if you didn't play well, I mean, there was times where guys wouldn't get in nothing but a handful, and there's something that's got to be tweaked here and there to where something can be a little bit more consistent, I would say, to where you're not having to do things like this, because I don't necessarily think that's what the answer should be. I mean, it's what the answer has to be right now, I guess, but not long term, I wouldn't think.
All right. Thank you for the time, Justin. Appreciate it.